This is the Outlap F1 podcast featuring America's own Cody, Andy, and Deanna. Your one-stop shop for Formula One news, insights, race previews, and reviews. Join us on the Outlap. We got one more to go before we take the break. And even though we just did this a couple days ago, we are back at it again. Why? Because we love it. God dang it. You have found the Outlap F1 podcast. This is season 7, episode number 26. It's our 2025 Hungarian GP Preview show. You've got Andy. I'm along with Cody tonight. Cody, I've noticed a change in the hat there. I'm loving it personally, but other than that, how you doing?
Yeah, I think it's time to accept reality and and side with the winning team, at least for now. I'm doing fantastic. It's well timed for the summer break for Formula One because starting this weekend, I'm going on my own nice little break. You already had your trip up to the Northwoods. Now I'm taking mine, so I'm gonna get in some nice fishing with the old man. I think it'll be a good time.
Enjoy the hinterlands. I hope you don't have as much Canadian wildfire smoke as we did. It will make for
So far, so good.
okay. It'll make for very interesting looking sunsets. I'll say that. Like I never saw so many interesting colors, but usually part of the gig is the great air, and you like just want to breathe while you're up there. And I was like, it smells a little smoky. But anyway, like I said, go have fun. Hope you catch lots of fish. I hope the smallmouth, largemouth bass are aplenty, and the occasional crappie as well. But anyway, that's not why you're all here. If you wanted to talk fishing, that's a different podcast. That maybe we maybe do next week or something when you come back. But we're here to talk about F1. We've got one more race before the break. It's Hungary, coming on the heels of the Belgian Grand Prix. But if you have found our show, as always, welcome along. We are thrilled you are here. You can find us on Blue Sky, on X, Instagram, Discord, Reddit, and of course, right here on YouTube at Outlap F1 Podcast is the handle for that. We have a link tree in our show notes that will take you to all of the places where you can find our stuff. If you enjoy what you're watching and you like what you're hearing, you can do a solid click the like or subscribe button if you're on YouTube. If you're on a podcasting app like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just to name a couple, a 5-star review would definitely help our content go a long way. Comes up a little bit better in F1 related search results. That's why everybody asks you to do that. You can email our show always, outlapf1@gmail.com. Will take you to us. Thank you so much for the folks who continue to support our little endeavor here, including Dean Warwick, Yuri Dolchester, Paul Weaver, Quentin Warden, Kevin Kelly, Regan Stanzik, Timothy Brown, and of course, Jonathan Scott. If you'd like to become a member of that Outlap F1 Nation and get your name shouted out at the beginning of every episode, I feel like I'm going to die, and my last dying words are going to be these like 7 people because they've been so great to us. But if you'd like to have or join that, there's a link in our show notes. It's our anchor page. There's a small ask for a little bitty monetary donation. Doesn't have to be much, $1 or $5. You are under, of course, no obligation to do that whatsoever. But if you'd like to, it will help us continue to utilize the nice recording platform we have. It'll keep our equipment up to date, and we'll try to keep the show as relevant and as on the cutting edge of tech as we can be. All right, the particulars now out of the way, and you wouldn't think that with a quick turnaround, basically all the teams are in transportation mode at the current time, that there would be a lot of news stories. There's a couple, nothing huge. The biggest one is really more of a hot rumor, but we've been following the Max Verstappen, George Russell, who's going to sit in what seat saga. It definitely looks like with now the Belgian GP in our rearview mirror and Max Verstappen locked into no worse than P3 going into the summer break, he will not be able to trigger his exit clause for 2026. So that pretty much takes that seat off the board. So put Max back in the Red Bull, at least for 2026. And that would also then mean, well, George, who's been waiting ever so patiently, or not so patiently, for his contract, looks like he is going to get it according to Sky Sports News, who understand that a prospective extension for George Russell would be a multi-year deal, which would tie Russell to the team at least until the end of 2027. This is based on an interview that Toto Wolff gave to, I think it was Craig Slater or possibly Ted Kravitz, over the Belgian GP weekend, where Wolff, talking about the Russell contract in the summer break, would say, "I would wish to leave him in a safe place a little bit earlier. We haven't managed to do that, but I'm optimistic that he's going to sleep well over the summer break," which is effectively Toto Wolff speak for wait till Tuesday, right after we're done recording, and I guarantee you the news will come out on the Russell extension in true Outlap F1 podcast fashion. But Cody, what's your thought on Russell apparently not going anywhere?
I'm certainly not surprised. George Russell has uh, been performing very well at Mercedes lately. He's got a race win this year, which is probably about as much as you can hope for from that Mercedes team, which looks like they're a little on the back foot at the moment. Um, but he's certainly a great driver. It would have taken something extraordinary for Max Verstappen to end up in that Mercedes seat. And all the talking heads are going to tell you just the same thing as what we're saying is it really kind of makes sense for Max Verstappen to stay in Red Bull right now because next year is all new regs. And sure, we've heard, the rumors that the Mercedes power unit looks like it's going to be uh, the best, but we haven't seen anything actually come out yet. So best thing for Max to do is to probably stay where he's at. He's getting paid mountains of money to be in that seat. So go into next year, make the best that you can out of it. Maybe the car will end up pretty good. You never know. But either way,
Yeah, we haven't talked about any of the aero yet.
yeah, exactly. But he's going to get to see who is at the top of the food chain in these new regs. My understanding, I think I heard this on like the race podcast, is that uh, the conditions of Max Verstappen's exit clause become more stringent in his favor as time goes on. So he would have to be in like possibly as high as the top couple positions in the driver standings at the summer break next year in order for his exit clause to not be able to be triggered, is what they were saying. Again, I haven't seen the contract for myself, so take it with a grain of salt. But uh, it looks like he could be well on his way to be able to activate that if he wanted to next season. So he's sitting in a good place, See what happens, see where the pecking order's at. The nice thing is he's got 4 championships behind him to pretty much say, this is my seat now, wherever he wants to go. And in the meantime, George Russell gets to keep his Mercedes seat, which is well-deserved. In fact, even if Max had been able to trigger his exit clause, I'm not really sure he would have been able to kick George out of that seat. I think it would have been more likely that he would have been able to kick Kimi Antonelli out of the seat with how recent performance has been. But it looks like it's all a big nothing burger at this point anyway. Nothing unexpected is going to happen.
Yeah, we had a whole team principals press conference where Toto Wolff basically got asked for 45 minutes, how many different ways have you talked to Max Verstappen? And it was interesting to come up with different adjectives to say the same "I really can't say" response. But beyond that, beyond the entertainment value of that, yeah, I do. This is where I always thought we were going to end up. I think we talked on this show a number of times. When this would come up, I would say, talk to me after the summer break. Well, if we get to the summer break and now Russell gets a contract extension, then that'll end the talk kind of right there, at least for now. And then, yeah, Max will be able to kind of look over what the landscape is going to look like and kind of call his shot. He's got enough. Yeah, there's not a team on the grid other than maybe McLaren right now who wouldn't jump if Max said, "Hey, I'd like to come drive for you." So yeah, he's definitely going to be able to call his shot. It's going to be interesting to see who's got it right, who's doesn't. Um, do seats open up in places you wouldn't necessarily expect? Does Fernando Alonso finally admit that maybe it's time to go on and do something else, even though he's had a wonderful career and he's waited it out and he's finally got Adrian Newey, but we'll have to see, you know.
I don't think he's
So
retiring until Lance Stroll beats him in a year.
Yeah, I cannot. Oh, it's like Highlander. I can't rest until you defeat me, or something like that,
Yep.
or Ricky Bobby, or even worse, or something like that. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, yeah, Max is going to be able to call his shot pretty much wherever he wants to go. So I mean, and he will have a lot of weight behind whatever. If he says a name, people are going to react to it. So I think for now, I think it's just going to simmer. It'll be kind of a story in the background as we go into 2026, as we go into testing, and we kind of see what we think our first pecking order is going to be, and we're really not going to know until they, do qualifying in Australia next March. All right. So moving on from the rumor mill for now, the next couple stories are confirmed things that we do know have happened. Audi, who will be Sauber will be rebranding to Audi and coming in as a works team next year. They have secured a title sponsor, Revolut. I think they're a payment bank or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, they offer banking services for individuals and businesses. So they're
Yes.
they're a business tech company, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. So they will be the title sponsor. You will see a lot of Revolut branding. I'm sure it will be the Revolut Audi Formula One team. Will probably be the official designation when we get to the grid next year. According to Jonathan Wheatley, they have found a partner that shares their core ethos of innovation and relentless ambition. As him and Badato have, obviously started to rebuild that team from the ground back up. This is more than a brand fit. Wheatley continues. It's a strategic alliance engineered to challenge conventions in motorsport. Yeah, a lot of love for obviously their new sponsor, and a lot of love for the new money that I'm sure that sponsor gives to the team. So yeah, good for Audi to be coming in. Like we've been talking about for a long time. We always thought that they would be a team that would struggle, but with smart people in place, maybe they can do some things to mitigate where their engine might be lacking. It may be that they're dependent on their aero early on until the engine finally gets caught up a little bit. So a team to watch for sure. But they're definitely building something. You can tell that from who they've signed and what they've done.
Yeah, they're trying to put all the pieces together, and the finance side of it is a very big part of it. Audi's a huge company, um, got a lot of money behind them, but getting those big title sponsors, and as you said, perhaps even more intricate partnership than just being a title sponsor. Uh, all that money coming in is just going to do them that much more good. Audi Revolut sounds pretty badass. It definitely sounds better than Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber. I'll give it that. So yeah, I look forward to seeing what they can do together.
bit more of a credible source too
Yeah,
than the stake online casino where I'm always convinced the money goes in and doesn't come out type of thing. So
you know.
but again, you play at your own risk when you do that. It's your money. If you want to go in and play what do I see on Instagram all the time? The drop game, Plinko. I see Plinko trying to people making supposedly huge sums of money playing Plinko. But you enjoy that if that's in your Instagram feed. I enjoy watching it. I don't know if any of it's freaking real, but it's fun to watch the little balls drop and some guy go crazy thinking he won $500,000. But whatever. Again, that's a different podcast. Last story before we actually get into our Grand Prix proper. You can tell it's been a slow news week. Williams has appointed Formula One stalwart Axel Kraus as its chief operations officer, ending his 15-year stint with that rival Stake Sauber F1 team. Kraus was the Swiss outfit's chief operating officer. So it comes right over, same exact role, but will start his role on September 1, replacing Fred Rousseau, who is set to return to his native Canada. James Vowles gave Axel Kraus a very ringing endorsement on the Williams website. They seem pretty excited. Another team, I think, building the pieces. You're starting to now see personnel. They've got the structure in place. They've got they're building the new stuff at the factory. They're making new parts for 2026. They focused all their development on 2026, and now this is like the next big piece of it. So I would say another team doing the right stuff. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like he's got the credentials behind him. If he's been at Sauber for 15 years, he definitely knows his way around the sport and his position. And it sounds like he's going into that pretty much that exact same role over at Williams. I do think it's a little interesting that Williams is poaching members from Sauber, which is becoming Audi, who really wants to be doing their own poaching. So a little bit of an interesting movement there, but it sounds like they're getting someone who's going to be ready for the role.
Sorry, that was a little premature on the sound there. The news is we know it works. Yeah, I actually didn't know much about what Axel Kraus had actually done, but I'm reading on his CV. He's obviously been in the game a very long time. And again, this is another team that's you read about stories like this now and you look back 3-4 years down the line. I mean, I remember reading stories about when McLaren gets Rob Marshall and he had to go off for gardening leave for 8 months, and then he comes in, and then 2 years later, blam, look what they're doing. But this is kind of how that stuff always kind of starts. So I like to kind of follow as teams that are in the rebuilding phase, like a Williams, like a Sauber, or to be Audi, are putting that together, and kind of how that journey happens. Because I think it's actually kind of cool when you get to the end, and you realize this was a recipe that took 4 or 5, 6 years to actually cook, and that's how you develop a championship team. So a name to watch for the future for sure. And I look at Williams and I say that's a team to watch. I look at Aston Martin and I say that better be a team to watch. Otherwise, that's a lot of money wasted. And I look at Stake Sauber now and I go, if they can move the Audi thing forward and they're building some stuff, that's their results have maybe turned my head a little bit. So who knows what that championship's going to look like next year. All right, so we're just going to head right into our track facts. They are brought to us by the good folks at Pirelli Motorsport. As you probably heard, I've got the sound queued up, so we know that that's going to work. So Cody, tell us about the Hungaro Ring.
All right, I'm going to try my best to get the pronunciation of this right. This weekend, Formula One circuits goes to Hungary for the race around the Hungaro Ring. So these are the Hungaro Ring track facts brought to you by Pirelli. Located in, this is the hard to pronounce part, I think it's Magyarud. Bit of a weird one. Hungary.
I always called it Mayrod, but maybe I'm wrong.
I'm taking a stab in the dark here. Just the best guess.
If we've butchered the name of the town, we're very sorry.
The number of laps around the circuit for the Grand Prix is going to be 70. Track length is 4.381 kilometers. That's 2.72 miles. And the tire selection from Pirelli for this one is going to be the C3, C4, and C5 tire compounds. So going pretty soft here. The track stats from Pirelli are going to be a 4 out of 5 for traction, 3 out of 5 for asphalt grip, 3 out of 5 for asphalt abrasion, 4 out of 5 for track evolution, 3 out of 5 for tire stress, 3 out of 5 for braking, 3 out of 5 for lateral load, and a 5 out of 5 for downforce. Qualifying lap record here goes to Lewis Hamilton, who you're going to see his name come up a lot here for records around the Hungaroring. Hamilton's got that record as a 1 minute 13.447 seconds, and he set that in 2020 with what is one of the fastest Formula One cars ever. The race lap record was also set by Lewis Hamilton in that same car in that same year, and that was with a 1 minute 16.627 seconds. Most wins out of current drivers around Hungary is going to be, you guessed it, Lewis Hamilton, whopping 8 wins here. Next best is Max Verstappen with only 2, and then it's a 3-way tie for third place with 1 win apiece between Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, and Oscar Piastri as of last year. Most constructor wins here, however, is going to go to McLaren with 12 wins, followed by a tie between Ferrari and Williams with 7 wins apiece, then Mercedes with 5, and finally Red Bull with 4. What's the circuit like, Andy?
All right, the lack of straights at the Hungaro Ring often sees it compared to a karting circuit, and it's true, the resemblance is a bit uncanny. With several series of corners to string together, teams opt for Monaco levels of downforce with a well-sorted chassis, tending to be rewarded over horsepower given the short straights on offer. It's a challenge that many of the drivers relish. However, finding a good rhythm is key to setting fast lap times. As always, the weather will be playing a factor this weekend. We have a chance of rain on Sunday before the race. Saturday qualifying does look to be dry. However, Saturday we'll have a mix of clouds and sun in the morning, followed by cloudy skies in the afternoon. Pretty warm, high of 79 degrees, so a bit on the warmer side, but that sun isn't going to be out, so it's not nearly as going to be warm as it was, I think, last year. Winds out of the northwest at 5 to 10, a 24% chance of rain. And for that race on Sunday, rain showers early, when does the rain hit? That's going to be the question, with overcast skies later in the day, a high around 74, winds out of the northwest at 10 to 15. So if it does rain, it could dry out pretty quick. Chance of rain is 60%, but that's given the entirety of the day. We also have, I think, Formula 3 and Formula 2 competing this weekend as well. So lots of on-track activity on offer. So when does that rain hit? All right. So now we will actually take our official break. We will come on back. We'll get into our predictions as to what we think is going to happen over the weekend, and we'll tell you when and where you can find your F1 in the United States this weekend.
You are listening to the Outlap F1 podcast, and we'll be right back after this quick pit stop. Grab your flu powder, broomstick, or apparate to your favorite audio streaming service to join the discussion on Hogwarts, a podcast, where Dan and his friends have in-depth chapter-by-chapter breakdowns of each Harry Potter novel. Join the group as they dive into the magical world and discuss plot points, analyze character development, and occasionally go off the rails. Whether you're a muggle who's new to the series or a pure-blood wizard who won't need a remember-all, Hogwarts, a podcast, brings everyone to the Great Hall for a magical discussion. Hogwarts, a podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, welcome back on in. This is season 7. This is episode number 26 of the Outlap F1 podcast. It's our 2025 Hungarian GP preview show. It's our last round of predictions before we hit the summer break. I have a one-match lead right now, or one weekend lead over Cody. I think it's 6-5. So it's literally 6-5 in Pick'em. So who knows where this is going to go? But this could be critical, and we've got some divergence in here. So we will hop into our predictions game, what we think is going to happen over the course of the Hungarian GP weekend. And we shall start with the pole sitter. The 2024 pole sitter was Lando Norris, and he set a lap time of 1:15.227. Cody, what you got for the pole sitter, and who do you have doing it? Or let's start with the pole sitter, and then you can give me your lap time too. We'll do the first two.
You know, it's funny you're talking about a little bit of divergence in here, and I'm looking through the list, and it kind of boils down to which McLaren driver do you think is going to be better this weekend? Personally, I've got Piastri sitting on pole this time. He did get his first win here last year. Had to go through some weird team drama over the radio to actually get it back, but it was his first win, so I do think he does well here. So I've got Piastri taking the pole, and I've got him doing it with a little faster than last year's time, at 1 minute 14.711 seconds.
All right, very good. I'm kind of predicting with my heart as well as my head, I hope. But I've got Lando Norris being able to take pole position because, one, he did it last year, and two, this is a circuit that where Spa isn't Lando land. I think this caters to his strengths a lot better with the type of corners that are going to be there. It's more of a karting track that's helpful, I think, for him and the way he likes to drive the car. And he goes pretty well here. So I've got Norris on the pole, and I've got a slightly faster lap time than yours, 1:14.579. All right, so we will turn to the race on Sunday, and we shall start, as always, with the race podium. Last year's race podium was Oscar Piastri P1, Lando Norris P2. That's how they finally finished after Lando did the little pullover, and Oscar, you can take it after 40 laps of needless team drama, which I pray to God they don't ever put me through ever again. I was so pissed at them for that. And Lewis Hamilton, let's not forget, this is the house that Lewis Hamilton built, apparently. 8 wins on the spin here for Sir Lewis here. He came home in P3. So, Cody, what you got for your race podium?
It was tempting to put Lewis Hamilton on the podium. However, last week's podium really did me wonders in the Pick'em game. So I'm going to go with that exact same podium this time. That is Oscar Piastri takes the win, Lando Norris comes in second, and Charles Leclerc comes in third.
All right, very good. Again, I'm kind of picking a little bit with my heart, but also with my head. I do have a 1-2 for McLaren here, but I've got Lando coming in P1. I think he's going to go out. I think like as much as Oscar was pissed off about what happened in Great Britain, I know Lando was pissed off about what the team did to him or what he felt got done to him here. I think he's going to want to go out and prove a point. Now, that could be a great thing or that could be a bad thing. We're going to find out. That's going to be the interesting part to watch over the course of this weekend. But if he's on it, and I'm hoping that he will be, he could definitely take the win here. So I've got Lando coming home P1. I've got Oscar right behind in P2. I think it will be a race between the two of them. I do also anticipate them possibly having a bit of a come together moment at some point, just because it's a short track. There's not a whole lot of places for them to hide. And I don't think the team can do the whole, oh, by the way, we're going to box you on different laps type thing again. But I also have Max Verstappen because I think he's going to be out to prove a point. I think another weekend with some calmness in the team will hopefully help him out a little bit. And he likes to go around this track pretty good as well. So I don't have him very far off of them, but I don't think he's going to challenge the McLarens per se, but I think he will be there and be the pest that he normally is, at least in terms of my rooting interest. So I've got him coming home in P3 as well. All right, so we will move on to our fastest lap in the driver, and the 2024 fastest lap was actually set by George Russell with a time of 1:20.305. Cody, I'll let you go first here. What you got?
It's going to be pretty much a clean sweep, in my opinion, here for Oscar Piastri. I got him taking fastest lap, and I got him doing it a little bit faster than last year at 1 minute 19.991 seconds.
All right, so we both have the same theory. Clean air is going to be very, very, very important. If I've got Lando winning the race, I've got to have Lando getting the fastest lap because I do think that is where the high ground definitely is. So I agree with you there, and I think we're going to be pretty close on lap time. I've got a 1:19.658. It could go a little bit faster because it's going to be a bit cooler than last year. All right, so for bonus picks, you've selected P5, P7, and P11. I like these as well. I'm going to go first on this one. I will have P5 being George Russell because I think he'll be a little more relaxed, knowing that his future is probably secure. And he's, they does pretty well, I think, over here in this type of track. P7, this is my kind of dark horse pick. I know they were bad last week. I know they were god-awful last week. But this is a much different circuit. And I think this goes back to seeing Aston Martin do good again. Fernando Alonso, I know in some really crappy cars, has pulled out some results here. And I think he's going to do it again. So I've got him coming home P7. I hope I'm right about that. And P11 just feels like good old, let's put Yuki Tsunoda in P11 because why not? He might do better, but I don't think he's going to quite get into the points. That's kind of where he tends to slot in right around this time anyway. But Cody, what you got?
I have Lewis Hamilton coming in 5th, mostly because despite the fact that he is very, very good at this track, I don't see him finishing in front of either McLaren or Max Verstappen or even his teammate Charles Leclerc this time out, unfortunately. So I got him in 5th. I have Russell a couple spots down from you just because they seem to have been struggling a little bit lately. And Ferrari did bring upgrades that despite not putting them on the same level as McLaren's, did seem in Spa that maybe there was some improvement there. So I think they're going to finish in front of the Mercedes, and therefore that puts Russell in 7th. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but Oliver Behrman has seemed to have inherited the Tsunoda curse of always finishing in 11th because he has finished in 11th the last 4 Grand Prix. So I think it would be funny as hell if he did it 5 times in a row.
Oh.
So that's why I've got him in 11th.
Poor Ollie. Let's not do that to him. But old Tsunoda award, new Tsunoda award. So which Tsunoda comes out on top? That's going to be the trick here for us here. Prop bet. I like your prop bet. And the question I have, like your prop bet as stated, says, will we see teammates collide? And my question back to you, is it any teammates? Could it be if the two Haas's come together? All right.
I mean, I guess we could do this 2 ways. We could either just say, yes, any teammates, or you could say any teammates. And if you pick a team where they do collide, that would
you get an extra point. All right. Yeah, let's do that. So go. All right. So yeah, but it's one or the other. So if you say no, you get 2 points.
So like if you say no teammates collide, but then you pick a team anyway and they do collide, that would get you 1 point.
All All right. So I will say whatever. I mean, yeah. I'm going to say no. I don't think we're going to see, I think we'll see some close calls. Like I said before, I don't think there's going to be anywhere for Orlando and Oscar to hide from each other here. I don't think there's going to be any way unless we get a drying track and they don't want to double stack again or something like that. Um, I don't think you're going to have a whole lot of opportunities, especially early if they are neck and neck on the grid and right on each other's grills and gearboxes in the first couple laps. You may see a repeat of Austria, because I think you're going to see, parts of the circuit where Lando's better and parts of the circuit where Oscar is better. So you could see them very much locked horns, especially for the first stint of that race, depending on what the conditions are. But I don't think they're going to touch each other. I think they've gotten the word through on that. So I will say no. If I was to pick a team that was going to do it, I'd say Haas, just because I've seen all that already happen and they kind of get close on relative pace. So I'm going to say no. But if somebody would, I'll say Haas.
So I'm going to go with yes, we will see teammates collide on Sunday. It seems like there's too many teams with teammates that are on relatively equal pace that are racing near each other on Sunday. You got McLarens, you got the Haas's. Last week you had the Aston Martins, unfortunately, and some of those teammates are not huge fans of each other, and some of them got championships to win. So I personally think yes, we are going to see teammates collide on Sunday. And I'm going to just go homer here for disgruntled Andy, and I'm going to say it's going to be the McLarens. Might not be a race ender, but I do think that they're going to come together.
Well, if they do, I'd hope they bang in the part of the tire that's, the good part of the tire that doesn't hurt the car versus the part that shreds it to all heavenly kingdom. But anyway, we shall see what happens. It wouldn't shock me. It would not shock me. There are enough corners. There's enough ways you can take the corners in different areas. Like you had in Spa, you could definitely see where there was the wall of air that you couldn't get beyond. The pace here is relatively slower because there's less room to get the super high speed in the straight line, where you can have corners where you have multiple lines and multiple ways of trying to get through them. So you could have a high line, a low line, and then a conversion zone. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. I definitely will grant you that. But I'm going to say no, I don't want to see that happen. So that's what I'm going with. All right. So when and where can you watch your F1 this weekend? As always, it is ESPN Family of Networks or F1 TV if you are in the United States. Friday kicks us off with FP1. No sprint this weekend. 7:30 a.m. Eastern. That's on ESPNU. FP2 kicks off 11 a.m. Eastern. Also ESPNU. FP3 will kick off 6:30 a.m. Eastern. Again, ESPNU, which is not bad because if you have ESPNU, their delay isn't too bad. As long as they're not putting it on ESPN News, that's the one I have the problem with. Qualifying, we'll move over to the normal ESPN2 channel. That will happen 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. And the race itself will happen standard European time, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock a.m. Central. That will be on Big ESPN. All right. Well, we don't have anything to preview after that. I think we're pretty much ready to go for the weekend, but any final thoughts before we head on out?
Not really much. I'm going to be watching this on my teeny tiny phone screen up at the cottage up north. Be pretty much the opening to my vacation. So nice way to kick it off.
Well, I can tell you, enjoy. Like I said, hope everything works. Hope you get enough bandwidth and enough signal to maintain watching the race so that it doesn't get interrupted halfway through.
You'd be amazed, man. These last few years, I actually get 5G
Nice.
up there in the middle of nowhere. So it'll probably be all right. I also just tend to stick to one screen. I don't have the super setup that you break out.
Yeah, it's probably better not to strain the little screen setup like I did, which proved to be a bit of an adventure, but I got through it. So anyway, I may be flying solo on Sunday because I don't think Cody's going to be able to record from where he's at. So I may just do kind of a rundown of the results, give you a couple of opinions. Cody will chime in with some notes that he's going to probably take, and we'll read them to you. But until then, so it'll probably be a shorter review for sure. We're probably not going to do 90 minutes like we did last time. If I'm doing 90 minutes solo, God help me. But anyway, So for Cody, it's been Andy. We will talk to you on the other side of the Hungarian GP, and we'll break, if any news breaks, of course, over George Russell. Stick to our social media channels. We will try to get all that out to you as soon as we know it. But until then, take care of yourselves, and may all your laps be fast.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Outlap F1 podcast. If you like what you heard, click that subscribe button and be sure to leave us a 5-star review. If you want to connect with us outside of the show, check out our website at www.outlapf1.com. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at OutlapF1 Podcast, or email us at chatnow@outlapf1.com. As always, thank you so much for your support, and we'll see you on the next one.